Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitchside. I'm your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here to recap all things that happened in week six in the MLS. It feels like
Uh,
it's been a lot longer than that
yeah,
because of the international breaks, but only 6 weeks, 6 match weeks into the season, and we had. I think this might have been my favorite slate so
mm,
far of the MLS season. There was a lot of great games, and you're starting to see some of these teams. You the doubters are starting to have to second guess themselves. So we'll get into that. Before we get into the MLS weekend, though, we do have one sad news to share, which is for those who don't know, Patrick Adjuman, of course, the striker formerly in MLS, now in Championship over in England, playing for Derby County, and has had a chance to make the U.S. men's national team. Had an Achilles injury today and had to be stretchered off the field. So thoughts go out to him. I mean, that's a tough blow. Felt like a guy that was going to have a really good chance to make the roster,
hmm
feature in a World Cup roster for the U.S. in home soil. And whenever you see this kind of stuff leading up to the World Cup, I mean, we're going to see it. There's going to be guys in every country. You're going to start seeing stuff like this happen. You just feel so bad for him, and especially here at home soil, you feel bad for Patrick and the ripple effect that's going to have on the roster and guys like Haji Wright and Ricardo Pepi who are competing with him. I'm sure it's a mixed feelings types of reaction to seeing one of your friends go down like that while you're also competing at the same time. So tough spot for him. Hopefully it's not as bad. I don't think there's been an official word of like what it fully is yet, but it definitely did not look good on the field.
yeah. It didn't seem like very promising that we would see him, just given the nature of that. But it just sucks big time. I feel like since he's been in the championship, we've seen him slowly continue his rise. And
Mm-hmm.
even in this last international window, I think he was one of the few players that his stock went up a little bit for the national team and how he was able to perform and make a difference when he got the minutes he did. So I think that does sting a little bit because I think that at least how it feels right now is that a team without Ajiman at the World Cup feels a little bit less as good than what it is with him. So I feel for him. And just like it's everybody's dream to go play that. And then, I'm sure that's just, you see emotion like when he was getting carted off and like, that's immediately going through his mind as soon as,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
happens. And yeah, you just, the human side of that, it stings really bad. So,
Yeah.
shout out
So many
to
things.
Aji
Yeah.
God. We'll
Yeah.
hope for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, you think it's easy to disassociate the person from the athlete because we're all cheering for these teams, but the ripple effect of financially for these guys when injury does like that when he's still
hmm
young and like trying to build his reputation and of course the national team, everything. So hopefully speedy recovery and he's back out there and it's not as bad as we think.
Yeah.
So
Right.
um, we're hoping for the best for him. But Tony, let's get into the slate here. We've got a ton of MLS games to cover. We're going to go through those. Some will hit a little bit more than others, and then of course we'll do the MLS power rankings at the end of the episode. And we're going to start off with Toronto. They are playing an early slate, and I think they have like 3 straight weeks of playing in this 1 o'clock slot. They have another
I
one
guess
next
they're
week,
worried
so
it was going to be cold up there. So
yeah,
daytime
weird
games. Yeah.
scheduling going on there. So they played Colorado, and this game lived up to the expectations we put on it in the pre-show, which was goals, 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 and that's what happened. Colorado went up. They were winning this game, and Paxton Erickson once again looked good. It was a good showing from him. This game had red cards abundantly. Two in the first half, or one in the first half for Colorado, one early in the second half for Toronto. So at that point, you're like, oh, this is like we're all clean, like we're good to go. And then Colorado gets another one in the 74th minute, and that's followed with might be the worst goalie error I've ever seen on a field in the MLS by Zach Steffen. And if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It is hysterical. It's like a back pass to him off a little press around midfield, and he just whiffs. He just whiffs at the ball. It goes right behind him, right in the net. And at that point, it's like because at that point they're just trying to hold on to a lead. You're down to 9 guys on the field. You're like all defense, everything. And to go from winning 2-1 in that moment to now it's 2-2, and you're just wait. Now you're like, oh god, here we go. and then Josh Sargent off the corner kick gets his first MLS goal, gets the game-winning goal for Toronto. Great moment for him and that home crowd in Toronto. And for Colorado, I mean, you're coming out of this one feeling just pretty devastated with how things went. I mean, you're up 2-0, you're feeling great, and then it's like everything fell apart. It's just a tough game. I feel bad because I don't know if I really come out of this thinking Colorado's that much worse. Like I don't like I'm not going to change my opinion. I think they're a solid team. Like they're going to compete. It's just when you shoot yourselves in the foot that many times in a game, it's tough to win.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, let's start with MLS After Dark Contender of the Year, and this was a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
MLS after 12
yeah,
p.m. game of the
I
year.
was gonna say, but it almost had the same effect where like the whole idea of MLS After Dark is like you end up falling asleep and you wake up in the morning and you check the score and you say, "What?" But like this is like a little bit different. Like this one, especially like Easter weekend, like I was traveling,
Mm-hmm.
visiting family
College
and stuff.
basketball, a
Open,
lot of
yeah,
other
basketball.
things.
Open
Yeah.
my phone and they're like three like red cards, and you look at like how it like lined out and all the swings on it, and it's like what in the world just happened? So I think it effectively acts the same as an MLS After Dark game. But yes, the swings in this one, I think my takeaway for Colorado, like when there's red cards, it's hard to like really think, hey, is that a team being good or bad, or just grab takeaways. But I think Colorado should fight. Because I mean, like they weren't down a man for super long. I think their first red card was in like the 30th minute. They made it to halftime, survived without giving anything up, recollected, and then their goal, or really the opportunity that caused Toronto's red card, was right out the gates in the second half, and put Toronto under pressure, and then end up scoring off that free kick from Paxton Aronson, who, by the way, had a different look in this game too, playing a little bit more out wide instead of centrally, and we'll see if they stick with that or if that's the move. But all that to say, I mean, the swing at this game, Colorado showed that they had motion, and so I think that we can at least take that away from them. Is this is not going to be a Colorado team that'll lay down too often, I don't think. And then on the other side, like Toronto, you could say the same thing because then they got their wave of energy, now playing 10v10, and making some magic happen. I think the other thing I want to point out too is Walker Zimmerman left this game hurt, which
Mm-hmm.
is a tough look there. He's already struggled with injuries just this season alone, and it just feels like, man, the Walker Zimmerman we know and love, it may not be there anymore. So that's tough for Toronto and tough for the league as a whole, and like a league legend, you know what I mean? But this was if you have not watched this game, go back and watch the highlights because this was pandemonium.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It was a chaotic game, like you said. It had after dark type vibes to it. So it's a great highlight watch in
Yeah.
this one on like a quick little snippet on Apple TV. So feel free to go dive into that. Next game here, we're not going to spend too much time on, but give credit. The New England Revolution roller coaster. You just never know where you're going to get game to game. It continues on here. They win 3-0 versus Montreal. Um, I mean, Montreal had their chances. They just did not convert many. And if you watch the highlights back, there's some pretty like eye-opening ones. You're like, how did they not finish that? And New England got their chances and finished. So credit to them. Just like I said, roller coaster of a season so far. They either win by a lot or get killed, and that's how it's been.
Yeah. And you know what? The way this game played out too is that New England kind of sat on the back foot. They let Montreal kind of possess in their half and then use that space to counter, which I mean obviously paid off. That they win this game 3-0. But to your point, teams that let other teams hang around like that, that creates chances from time to time, and even Montreal can generate that. So they were flirting with it a little bit, but the gamble paid off in this sense. And I guess this is kind of the result we were expecting. Maybe not as resounding from Revolution, but it is Montreal after all, and that's just unfortunately what we come to expect with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tough game for Montreal, and credit New England bouncing back again.
Yep.
Moving on to one of the other darlings of the MLS early on this season, the Real Salt Lake. I felt pretty good when I saw. I didn't get to watch this one fully. I got to watch it back, but I felt pretty good when I got notification. I pointed out. I said, "Diego Luna's back. Look out for him
Yep.
when you get that early goal," which is a great sign for them to get him back. In I mean, the way that he naturally just fit back into this attack and the attack that's been so strong early on, even without him, and they showed out again. I think we said 3-1 in our predictions. We were like 3-1. SKC's probably gonna get a late goal, and
Yeah,
that's
probably
basically what
Joveljic.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the SKC special, and that's how Joveljic gets 20 goals this season.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to spend too much on Kansas City. About same as it's been, and then Real Salt Lake also just continuing this dominant attack run right now. You got to give them credit. This attack keeps going. We've had some people even in our YouTube comment section say that they're surprised by how much attack they're generating because the last couple of years you just haven't seen this. So
Mm.
good for RSL, and these are the games you got to win if you want to be a legit contender in the Western Conference this year.
Yeah, I think the two things we can highlight from this one, obviously you mentioned Luna. I'll put that in the perspective of the U.S. men's national team coming into the
Mm.
World Cup because, missing the last camp, Pochettino allegedly said it wasn't due to injury. It was coach's choice. And then right out the gates, first start for Luna since coming back from injury and getting a goal. I don't think it's his first of the season, but, getting involved. I think he had one. It wasn't against San Diego, was
He
it?
only
It was
played in
some.
one game before the international break. It was the last game. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't remember. I don't think he scored, but I may be wrong.
I could be wrong, but either way, definitely making some noise with this game here, and I think you're probably going to see this guy run around like his hair's on fire. He already looks like that, but then with this extra chip on his shoulder, I think you're going to see some good performances out of Luna coming up in the future. And then the next person I wanted to highlight was Gozo, who we've talked about a little bit. Young rising star here. He's 19 years old, and not his first goal, not his first assist. He's been a breakout player this year in RSL's success, but his goal, you got to see this one because it's nice. I think people aren't giving him the credit. His first touch, like he's chipping it up to volley on purpose.
Is
I
that
think
his? Is this his second? Didn't he have another banger or like a couple weeks in the past couple
against
weeks
Atlanta or
too?
something, wasn't it?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just has a knack for it. The dude,
he
it is
does.
a banger. It is a banger of
Yes,
a goal.
yes. Some people are like, like his first touch. And I'm like, no, I think he's setting himself up for the volley on his first
Hmm.
touch. Like the way he pops it up and doesn't really look like he's trying to like wrap his foot around it. He's trying to like wedge it. So all that to say, Gozo is a player that many people have been talking about this year, and have kind of put the context around him as enjoy him while he's in MLS. So he's been really good to watch. Had a great game on Saturday, and I think is going to continue to be on this rise with RSL.
Totally. Credit RSL. They're gonna. I think a lot of us over here believe in them, and I think they're gonna be legit contenders for the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
Moving on, Atlanta and Columbus. Columbus wins this one 3-1. A very needed performance from the Columbus crew. Abu Ali showed up in a big way in this one, and Atlanta. I mean, again, they felt like they were on the front foot, but just couldn't make it a little bit different than Montreal. Like they were on the front foot, but they couldn't create legitimate chances. Like it was like they had the possession and didn't do much with it. And Columbus, whenever they got the ball, it felt like it was attack, attack, attack. So
hmm
credit to Columbus, they needed this. I mean, it's easy to fall in the trap of like panic, panic, panic. It's a long season, and if they can continue some performances like this, they'll be right back on track. For Atlanta, I mean, it's just back to the same old story. You just don't feel great about the attacking options right now, and I think it's going to be another rough season. And
yeah,
I think they have had a lot of home games early on this year, and to only be in the position they are right now is kind of tough. You're going to have to be on the road, and it's hard to win on the road this season. So, credit to Columbus, they got the job done.
they did, and I'll make this a little bit about Atlanta, but I don't even know where to start with them. If Tata can't fix this, then there's some serious problems with the players. So I'm sure
Mhm.
that they're not going to just. Tata's not here for one season and moving on. I'm sure that this is going to be more of a
He knew
rebuild
he
that
knew
you're
what he was
looking
getting
at.
into.
Yeah, he knew what he was getting into, but I mean, then again, he was only coaching Miami 1 year and said, I have had enough of this circus and left.
I would say that
So
that's a different beast, though. That
it
is a.
is, it is, but in terms of money, honestly, it's not that far away, you know?
I just
Um,
mean that's a media circus in its own right with Messi.
yes, yeah,
That's what
correct.
probably more so what it was.
Right. Instead, you got like two billionaires just breathing down your neck instead of all the media. But
Tell him
um,
not to buy latte loft. So
exactly right. Yeah, he said if I would have been here, I would have said,
aging Miggy.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think it's kind of back to the rut that Atlanta was in, because they were flying not high, but I'd say cautiously a little bit more optimistic. And then, yeah, a result like this, especially with the Crew, who this is their first win of the season. You know, that was a game that probably felt like they could prove themselves as not being a bottom feeder East team and rather being a in the hunt for playoffs kind of team. So
Hmm.
that's a tough look there. Crew much needed. Abu Ali creating some magic that also is like, I mean, that's what they're looking for, and not to put like too big of expectations or pressure on him, but like he's got to put together performances like that way more often, to
Hmm.
fill the Cucho's shoes, to pick up, where Nagby has left off, like in just in terms of how vulnerable they are defensively now. Those kind of things, like you got to see more of that from Abu Ali, and it seems like he's capable of it, and they're just trying to find the right stride. Um, and yeah, another week without Gazdag, and there's a win. Like that has been one of the
Oh,
most unbelievable fall offs we've
oh,
seen.
and the way that Philly got trolled when they made that transfer too, and it's
I
just
know.
been, yeah,
And they've been laughing the whole way since.
yep. Okay, moving on here, we have Charlotte taking down Philadelphia Union. Yet again, the Union lose a game, and this is going to be one of the bigger drop offs we've ever seen from year to year. And we said it earlier, it's just going to happen. This is what this team is. Philly's going to kick themselves because once again, I mean, I feel like we've said this about a couple games. They've had their chances and they didn't convert enough, and they get an equalizer late, and then they like seconds later just felt like they just gave it right back. Zaha gets the winning goal in this one. Um, I don't know, man. This is going to be a tough season. Charlotte, the social media account had a pretty rough
Mm,
graphic they made that was all the MLS and like Premier League teams like on a graphic, and it was like, have you played like a certain amount of games in 2026? Yes, and it was like every single team. It was like, have
yeah.
you gotten a point in 2026? And it was like yes, and then it was like no, and Philly was the only team that does not have a point in 2026, which is tough. It's going to be a rough go at it. So credit Charlotte once again. These are the games you got to win at home. They did it. Wasn't pretty at all times, but like you said, you were afraid this was going to be a game that they were going to fall into a trap for, and
Hmm.
luckily, Zaha gets a goal late to make sure that they don't fall into that.
Yeah, I think that well, there's a lot of things to think. From listening to a lot of Philly fans, it just seems like the way that this team plays, it's not different, but just the counterattacks don't have the same kind of bite to them. The intensity and the pressure just doesn't have the same like tenacity in it. Like there's something that's just like really, really flat about this Philadelphia team right now. And then honestly, like I think that this is probably a team that like made a lot. Like we would talk about this last year. Like they'd press high and heavy, and like we said, hey, we're concerned about the like longevity of this coming summer months. Like and like we kept saying that, and then they ended up winning the Supporter Shield. But I think maybe regressing to the mean a little bit is what's happening here. Is this team's worn out? On top of we've already said this a trillion times, but you sell all your good players, you can only go back to the well so many times, and it just seems like that is kind of finally caught up here, and so that's where you're left with this Philadelphia team. And I think that this result is all about Philadelphia and not so much about Charlotte, and I think that's going to be the case now with pretty much any of Philly's matches coming up. Unfortunately, is that this is about them kind of putting together a rough season, trying to make something out of it, and it's not so much about any team beating them because that seems to be pretty easy to do these days.
Yep. Gonna be a rough go at it. Good for Charlotte. You got to win those games. So,
Yeah.
moving on here, we have DC United losing to Dallas 4-0. Super dominant game from Dallas. We don't need to spend a ton of time on this, but anytime Peter Musa does not have to be the focal point in the attack, basically to score goals for most of the game, that you're gonna have a great chance to win for Dallas. And he gets his goal late to make it 4-0, but um, Dallas. I mean, we've talked about him. You've talked about him. You're high on Dallas this season, and um, once again, DC is gonna be one of those teams that you're gonna look back this season. You're gonna tell yourself we've got to beat that team to be able to compete in the Western Conference. So they get it done on the road, and in a really dominant effort. And a quick side note: I was watching this one. DC United packed to that place. I was actually impressed
Mm,
with with the
yeah.
fan attendance in that one, and I think that even speaks more so to what Dallas is able to do with an environment like that on the road, in such a dominant effort.
Yeah, I throw my shout out here to Logan Farrington. His goal, if you've not seen it, that's also a thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Through ball over the top that he's chasing down, like touches, like first touch, kind of blind over the shoulder touch that he collects, and then just does a nice composed finish around Sean Johnson. I mean, like if you have him and Musa on the same team and he continues to play like this, like I mean, obviously he's not like a U22. He's 24 years old, but I mean, he's got the I don't think he's got a homegrown designation, but he's been with the team for a while. I believe he was an academy product at one point. But to kind of build that up within, and you've got someone that like defenders genuinely have to pay attention to now, and they can't get all consumed in Musa and shut down your attack. Like, man, that's something that you got to weaponize quick if you're Dallas, because I don't have the roster sheets in front of me, but I'm sure that they're getting a pretty penny
Mm-hmm.
for Farrington's salary right now and getting a lot of production out of him. So all of that to say, like, it feels very intriguing on where this team is going. This Dallas team's going. They've not had the last year in terms of roster moves that you would have maybe thought, but to find themselves in this spot here, I think is really good. And I don't think that a road win at DC United is to snuff at as much as it was last year. So I think that it's good things ahead for DC, or not for DC. Maybe for DC, probably not, but for FC Dallas.
Totally. Yeah. Credit to FC Dallas. You got it done. We love to see it. Musa gets his goal,
Man,
man.
the moose is
Throw it up.
loose.
Okay, moving on here. NYCFC at home. Share points against St. Louis. McSorley, 96th minute
Mm.
goal. One of my favorite names, the MLS, by the way. McSorley is just a 10 out of 10 name. Um, and it's a game NYCFC is going to be kicking themselves, dude. I know the stats kind of say this one was pretty even. I mean, if you watch some of it, you're like, NYCFC should have had this game, like, and should have had all 3 points, especially at home. And if they're going to kick themselves because they're probably going to feel like they should have added on to this lead at some point during this game. And to share points, it's not great. And they've now got a couple weeks now where it hasn't looked perfect. So it kind of brings down what was going on early this season. Makes me feel a little bit better about my early season prediction. I mean, they're still going to be a force to reckon with in the East, but they're definitely getting knocked down a peg right now in terms of the results lately.
Yeah, I think that this is the NYCFC experience right here, because we get used to them impressing us, and then something like this surprises us, and then we move our eyes away, and then they keep doing well, and then we say, "Wow, NYCFC really snuck up on us." So it's these kind of results that, kind of like you said, maybe lose a little bit of respect for them, and I'm sure they'll be around. I'm sure this is a blip, because they did create the chances. They had two big chances that they missed. The one goal that their goal of the game was a pretty low percentage shot that went in, and all their like good chances that they created all missed. So I hate to kind of run this narrative, but it's like, okay, how would this game have looked if Alonso Martinez was here? You know, that or the guy or Silla, the guy that they tried to get and
Mm-hmm.
didn't like. That's just the kind of the questions that you have to ask yourself, and there's no true answer for. But
Mm-hmm.
that they kind of feel. But I'll put it on the other side of this too. St. Louis, had the bend don't break. It could have broke pretty easily, but it didn't, and they stuck with it till the very end, right? And end up stealing some points in a very true smash and grab kind of fashion. So I think that this is a great, building block for St. Louis, and kind of like we said last week, like I think there's proof of concept is there. Like they
Mm-hmm.
are, they're turning. It's going to be a slow turn, but they're turning, and I think results like this can show you, like this is a St. Louis team last year that would have lost this game, you know.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and so I think we're seeing improvement, and you can take that and run with it.
Yeah, St. Louis is going to do this a couple more times this year. Someone's going to roll in thinking they've got an easy victory, and
Yeah,
St. Louis is going to either steal point or take all three from some of these teams that aren't really expecting a fight like they're going to get. So credit to them. They get it done late. Moving on to New York Red Bulls taking down FC Cincinnati 4-2. A very attacking game. Both teams
hmm
had a ton of chances in this one. It was, I mean, of course, we're FC Cincinnati fans. It's kind of more of the same. The FC Cincinnati's defense is just non-existent. Of course, red cards played a factor in who they were fielding in this one, but FC Cincinnati went with like a 4-4-2 look a lot of the game in this one, and I think I come out of this one pretty indifferent because I, of course, hate the score line. I mean, the own
hmm
goal and then the late goal that is kind of just caps it off. And then, of course, you have the weird thing with the free kick that he got an extra kick and an extra go at it, even though it was a Red Bull's like player's error
right.
that allowed it to happen. So that I mean, the players were upset about that, but the which was ended up being a beautiful free kick. I mean, don't take anything away from Forsberg on that one, but
Right.
FC Cincinnati created a ton of chances like I haven't seen in a long time in this one. And if Kevin Danke could make one of the 15 shots that he had in this game, it felt like. I mean, this game's very different in the scope of how it went during the midst of it. So it's tough for FC Cincinnati. You're not happy. It's a weird start to the season, and at the same time, I'm hoping they don't just like abandon this because I think the more they play in this formation, it's going to look better, and I think it gives Evander and Danke and these guys more chances to make an impact. You just need that defense to be more shored up. I mean, they're in the top like three of goals allowed this season. If Orlando didn't exist, I think they would be number one. And it's just a tough go at it. And credit to New York. I mean, they bounced back in a big way after a really big loss in their last game, and the kids continue to freaking show up. Tony. I mean, they're ready to play. Michael Bradley's got these guys that are going to compete every single week, and it'll be interesting to see how they are at the end of the season because I think like these bumps and bruises they're going to have, and like last week, are only going to make this team stronger as they finish the season, as these kids get more games under their belt.
Yeah, a lot to take here. We'll start with the formation change. I do find it really intriguing that it seems like even despite this loss and Cincinnati still being in a pretty big rut, like the fan sentiment towards Pat Noonan and like the system of this new system has improved. Like it does seem
Mm-hmm.
like okay, we've seen promise, and maybe that's because as Cincinnati fans we've been so broken into watching like just really
1-0,
pragmatic,
2-1.
yeah,
Yeah.
just gameplay. So then to see this open up now, what I'd be really interested in, I would assume they keep doing this. It showed positivity, but Red Bull specifically, I mean, they pressed pretty high too. And this game, I mean, it had a lot of goals because it was really open. It felt like it took two, maybe three passes from FC Cincinnati's midfield to find that pocket in behind, and there was a lot of running at the Red Bulls back line.
Oh, I
Um,
mean, if they could have, there's even like I'm talking about, they had all these shots and these chances in front of the net. If they could have connected on like 4 or 5 of these last passes that they didn't connect on, I
yeah,
mean, they could have scored so many goals in this game. I mean, the chances were there, and that's not even going to show up on the XG after the report because the final pass wasn't there. If the final pass is
right.
there, I mean, this game could be very lopsided in the other direction.
Yeah. So all that to say, I think that the underlying numbers in this one for Cincinnati were decent, but I don't know if that has as much to do with the formation change as it
Mm-hmm.
does with the way Red Bull is set up there. I want Red Bulls deserve credit here. They got the win. Michael Bradley got the win. I do worry though, like that if this becomes a false positive for Red Bulls, then they're going to get humbled again real quick too. Because
Mm-hmm.
most teams, when you give that kind of space on most days, I mean, there's off days too, right? And even Youngman's son still hasn't scored a goal in MLS play yet. Like you get stuff like that, but it just feels like that the door is pretty open to get scored on. And then like if you're gonna get in these shootouts, like Forsberg and Hall and Cowell, like not the worst group to hand to be dealt, but it's certainly not the best in this league either. And maybe like banking on a shootout and having them carry you, like that just seems like that could fall short more than you would like. So it's an interesting setup and thing to watch with Red Bulls too.
Totally. I mean, two teams I think can take positives out of this game and also look at it and be a little. You can critique both of them and how they're going right now. So we'll see. FCC's got to bounce back soon. I think what I can also take away from this and the formation change happening is that Pat Noon's feeling the pressure. Like that's a
Yeah,
reality. And whether
yeah,
it's him wanting to make this change or a top bot to top down thing, saying something needs to change, we don't know. But I think I am optimistic in how things looked offensively. Now we'll see if that was just because they were playing Red Bull, who were very open, or if that's
hmm
actually something that can be sustained. So we'll see. They've got a little runway here before the World Cup to see if that's the case. Moving on, we have Miami playing in their new stadium. You see what I did there? Isn't it called like new
yep,
stadium?
new.
And they break it in with a thrilling game. Ends 2-2. Austin Steel Point on the road. Jaden Nelson gets that electric goal to give them the lead. Luis Suarez, this guy's still around. You might not have noticed. Gets the game time goal. I mean, Miami. As much as I want to dog him, like 30 shots in this game. They completely dominated the game. Are going to be very frustrated to be sharing points at home in this one. Austin, though, credit to them, man. I mean, you go and you still pointing at Miami. That's nothing to be ashamed of. They to get points on the road is a good thing, and against Miami is even better. So, I felt good about Facunda Torres in this game. Watching him, I think that he gets an assist in this one, but I think he's starting to like feel into that role a little bit of like he needs to be the facilitator and put these guys into good spots and really hone in on that. So that looked better, but I mean, reality is Miami's gonna feel crappy about not getting all 3 points in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll start with the Austin perspective. The bummer about this is Facunda Torres came out injured at halftime.
I think they said
Which
he's gonna be okay though.
okay, fingers crossed then, because
Let me double check that though.
that's been the crux of Austin is just so many key players getting hurt, and then other players playing out of position to cover for those players, and it just is really kind of handicapped where Austin has been able to head. But I think in this game they got Facunda Torres on the right, which was good. Still waiting for Owen Wolf's return because I think that just unlocks so much for them in the middle. But they had people playing where they wanted them playing. Joseph Rosales from Minnesota United was in playing on the left, like it, and did the key assist for Jaden Nelson, who subbed in for Facunda Torres. So like there's a lot of good things to like. I think you figure that Facunda Torres, you hope that he's good to go for time being, or not out for a long time rather. But Austin was tidy with their chances. They sat back, they absorbed, and had only 9 shots, but all of them were decent level XG shots. Like they had good chances. And you mentioned like Miami getting like 30 shots, which yes, that's true, but that was also Austin kind of like sitting back and absorbing.
Mm-hmm.
And just by the numbers, like 30 shots and 3.5 xG or something, that's not very good return for the opportunities Miami was taking. Now, obviously, you have superstars on the team they can do whatever they want, and the XG will lie because they're magicians. But I think that this was a really, really well played game from Austin, and that's my main takeaway on this one.
Totally. Yeah, you got to give him credit. He went and stole points in a really hostile environment that's already built up because of the new stadium, and
Yeah.
I think it's impressive. It's something they can try and build off of if they can get people healthy. That's the big thing. So, moving on here, we have Chicago beating Nashville 1-0 on a first-minute goal from Zinkernagel. He finally gets on the score sheet this season, so good for him. Um, really weird Nashville game. You've got to give Chicago a ton of credit for how they just kept Nashville away from the net. And it's not like they had a ton of chances and didn't convert. It was Chicago's defense really held up tight, and they held on to that 1-0 lead for 90 plus minutes. So
Yeah.
credit to them. And definitely disappointing for Nashville. I mean, you're coming off a break here, and you're expecting that offense to keep rolling, and felt pretty flat. I mean, all three guys up top just never really had great chances in this one. So, yeah, like I said, credit to Chicago's defense, who haven't been horrible early this season. I think better than you'd expect compared to last year. And the offense has like not been fully clicking. And when you can get a win against one of the top teams like Nashville at home, like that is a huge victory for them.
Yeah, it's massive. And from a national perspective, this really stings because we haven't mentioned this yet tonight, but CONCACAF Champions Cup is coming right at you real quick this week.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday and Wednesday are the fixtures. Nashville hosts Club America in Nashville on Tuesday. And they didn't rotate and then came up empty-handed on the road like this. And now you're, short switch in between, and you're playing in a really, really important match on your home turf against the League MX side. So this was just not ideal scenario here. I was honestly a little bit surprised that they ran everyone out like this. And I mean, didn't cut anyone off early. Surge, Mukhtar went 90, Espinoza went 78. I just can't believe that they rolled the dice and then landed empty-handed here. So that is really shocking from this Nashville team. I can't expect that they would have this kind of dull of an offensive game very often. But shout out for Chicago for making that happen and being the team that stuck in like that. And like you said, Zinkernagel with his first goal of the season. Bamba also starting to come alive a little bit too, has the assist here. I think there's positive things for the Chicago team that we're still kind of seeing them like kind of build the plane as they fly it and slowly evolve as we go through the season.
Totally. Go to Chicago. Good win. Houston loses to Seattle at home, 1-0. A game that I was really excited to watch. Didn't necessarily live up to the expectations maybe that I had for it, but I think it fell right into how Seattle wanted this game to go. I mean, they played this to perfection. They didn't necessarily play on the front foot. They had a few chances, and Paul Rothrock finishes that chance that they had at the end of the game to steal all three on the road. From a Houston perspective, I'm disappointed if I'm a Houston fan today. I just think you're starting to have a little bit of expectations for the first time in a little bit, and this was like an early test that I think you are disappointed with how it resulted. And the attack, you need to see more consistency from. I think it will come with time this season. I think it's more these guys have never really played together for a lot of the attack so far. So I'm hoping that they bounce back, but definitely disappointing as someone who's like believes in Houston this season. And then Seattle's doing Seattle things, man. It's just what they do. They grind out games in the regular season like this. They'll do enough and then make a run in the playoffs. So credit to them. Get all 3 points on the road, big 3 points.
Yeah, and you could argue that they didn't, but it seems to me like were slightly rotated in this one too. Seattle was, because they got Tigres coming up, like I said, in a few days. So that's a really big result for Seattle in that case, where you rotate, you're on the road, and you get 3 points. And
opposite of Nashville, basically.
Yeah, right. And that's vintage 2025 Seattle too. Except for it wasn't rotation by choice, but by injury. But still making it happen. I agree with the sentiment with Houston. Just being a little bit disappointing in this one. I think that where it kind of kicks for me on this is, Houston in this game had decent pitch control. They had some pretty good possession. They were getting it, up in Seattle's half. Not quite the most dangerous spots, but, flirting with that certainly more often than Seattle was. But just weren't really getting the opportunities off of it. I think that for the amount of shots they had, which wasn't a ton, the XG for that was kind of alarmingly low. They were just kind of ripping off lottery tickets. So that's the disappointing part, I think, from this Houston side is like we know that this is a team that has a little bit of sting, a little punch on them now. But it just felt like even having control of possession and getting down the field into Seattle's half, like they just weren't able to make that really click and truly like scare Seattle or punish them too bad. So I think that's the part that for a home team in Houston, you got to kind of want that one back a bit.
Totally. Moving on here, a game I mean, you would think we need to spend time on. I really don't think we do because it's about how we expected it. LAFC take down Orlando 6-0. I mean, this game could have been worse than 6-0. This was a bloodbath in the first half. Denny Bouanga, here he is. He's arrived in 2026. 3 goals. And Boyd gets one late in the second half, but everything else was in the first half. And this was rough. Orlando, this is just a doom season. That's just how I view it. You're only thing you're doing as an Orlando fan is going just waiting for July. You're just like, give me Antoine Griezmann July. That's all I care about. It's gonna be fun to watch. It'll bring fans in. I don't know if they're even gonna be in a spot to make the playoffs in that scenario in that setting when he gets there. So I think that stinks because I think you'd love to see him come in and be able to help you make a role here. I mean, still plenty of time to turn around. It's just this defense is horrendous, Tony. It is one of the worst defenses I've ever watched with my own eyes, and they still need a coach. I really don't know like what they're doing or like what they're waiting for at this point, but they need to hire somebody. They need to get this fixed, and it's just been a really tough season.
It's been no good. I heard today like Orlando's if they were on this rate of allowing goals, they would give up 120 goals this season. Which there's just no way that's gonna happen. But like they've given
23 goals a game.
they've given up 23 goals in 6 games.
Oh,
23. It has taken them 6 games to have a minus 18 goal differential. Like they're losing every game by at least 3.
this is what I said earlier. FC Cincinnati would be the worst defense right now if it weren't for Orlando.
Right. And actually, just looking at this, there's a few other teams that have given up more goals than Cincinnati. Still got Portland's given up more, Montreal's given up more, and then Cincinnati comes in shortly thereafter. But all that to say, like, this is exactly how we expected it. Maybe not 6-0, but or Bouanga with 4 assists, but Son with 4 assists, Bouanga with a hat trick in like a span of 8 minutes. But I just cannot believe just how quickly this is all falling apart for Orlando. They just need, like, right now they're waiting for our inaugural calendar flip season at this point to rebuild what's going on here. Like, not even the sprint season. They're not going to be ready by then. Like it's bad. I don't know how it just came unhinged so quick. A few injuries, yes. Antoine Griezmann's coming, yes, but like, man, you don't see this happen to other teams like this too often. So, I mean, we're talking this in the context of Philly not winning a game yet this year after winning the Supporter Shield. And
I'd rather be a Philly fan. I'll say right now, I'd rather be a Philly fan than an Orlando fan. Like,
you have better excuses as a Philly fan. So
yes, I mean, but like I said, the only thing is like Griezmann's coming, so you can just kind of just like say that to yourself, and like that's fun. Like,
yeah. That's true.
So, like, Philly will not get a Griezmann. Like, that's just not going to happen. So, you can tell yourself that, I guess.
They got
I take it back. I'd rather be an Orlando fan.
Wow. Okay.
At least my GM's not going to jail, possibly. Okay. So,
yeah.
Let's move on though. I mean,
Yep.
we don't need to spend some time on it. They know where they are. It is what it is. Quick hitter here as well. Minnesota pulls off a Minnesota special. This is what they freaking do. LA Galaxy. Royce gets in the score sheet again, which you'd like to see. He's been a productive player this year, and they just once again cannot finish chances. And they had a chance to win this game about like 5 or 6 times, couldn't do it. And Minnesota, of course, absorb and just counter, and that's what they do, man. Yeboah gets on the score sheet. We need to see more from him for Minnesota. I guess the only like quick side story is like this James Rodriguez thing is super weird. I
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on. He's
He's
like,
back and he's back now training. But
I don't know,
to the
dude.
side. I saw
I
it
don't know.
today. Yeah.
I'm just expecting not to watch him anymore this season. That's my expectation. But Minnesota, I mean, that's a good win. It's a good win on the road. Galaxy are now in a tough spot again. I would not be shocked by the Galaxy that I've watched so far this year that this thing falls off the rails even more so. And it's like these last 4 games have looked like Galaxy of last year, and that's the fear you have as a Galaxy fan is that, oh God, here we go again. So it'll be interesting, man. I mean, this is a team that I totally see as like in these next couple windows, like transfer windows, like there's going to be heads rolling. Like they're like whether it's Paintsill, Peck, like somebody's going and they're going to change things up because it's not working at all.
Maybe the head
And
coach.
especially that. And I actually don't even think like their defense. I'm not even worried about. It's just their offense, man. It's their offense cannot score consistently. It's brutal. So tough go at it for them.
Yeah. I think in a vacuum in this game, the biggest stat that jumps out to me on this one is Minnesota. You know, there's an average line of a defensive action in every game, and Minnesota's was like 15 feet higher than their average in this game. So to me, that means like for a bunker and counter team like Minnesota, Galaxy just weren't doing a very good job at possessing and even, kind of having that field tilt to put on to Minnesota. Minnesota was able to disrupt it more higher than what they were typically used to. And that's the fire alarm. I think that you pull a little bit that you hope that's not a regular
Mm-hmm.
thing for the Galaxy is that when you don't really have the solidity on the ball to like make a bunker and counter team scared to bunker and counter, that's the problem. No Glesnes in this one. I think that may have helped prevent a goal in this, possibly. I think that also, that bumps Carter Hack into the midfield and maybe fights some of those issues I was just mentioning. But I think that could be the bigger underlying issue is that there's just not enough sting right now with this Galaxy team in just pure possession. If it's not on Peck or Paintsill's foot, then it feels like teams know that they don't have to respect the Galaxy. So that's where my concern would be as a Galaxy fan. And I've seen the Vanny out videos and tweets already. Those fingers are getting real warm over in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely watch that one for sure too.
Yeah, he's a pooge merchant. I'll say it.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, let's move on here. Credit to Minnesota, good win. To my game of the week, and
Mm,
that is San Jose taking down San Diego 3-0. My train is gone. You cannot get on anymore. I've been calling it out for weeks, and I think everyone's gonna. I think if you're a hater, you're gonna come out and say, "Oh, red card!" Like early on, and that's what causes victory. San Jose was kicking their butt even before the red card. I mean, that's the reason why the red card happened. They were going to be
yeah.
up 2-0, even if it's not a red card in that situation. And it is a fully dominant effort at home from San Jose. And I think what's impressive, man, is they're getting no DP production on this team. None.
Yeah.
And you have Timo Werner. I mean, he's been fine. Like he's assisted some, and I think he's demanding like coverage when he's on the field. He hasn't been on the field for all these games. It's been these other guys that have been providing the spark for them, and it's undeniable's point. And this defense is good. I don't know what. I don't know why. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense because it hasn't changed. But the Bruce Arena Year 2 bump is real. It is in full effect, and it's fun. It is fun to see San Jose being competitive in the MLS again, and I think they're here to stay. I think they're going to be a Vancouver-ish team. I don't think they're as good as Vancouver, but I think they're one of those teams that's going to come on and just be able to ride this a little bit to a playoff appearance. And I think that alone is a surprise for a lot of people that were coming into this year. Is if San Jose makes the playoffs, that is a major victory for this franchise versus what it's been lately. So I think they're well on their way, and it's fun, man. It's a fun team to watch right now. They score goals and they play great defense.
So, I mean, so much to take from this. I'll open up with though. I'm a guy that likes to talk, but I don't have all of the numbers, the analytics, everything. But this San Jose like passing map, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like it is like so well like structured and almost symmetric, and just like you can see the idea of like it's supposed to be a snapshot of like how a team played in a game, and like you can tell so clearly what they were trying to do. And just being really strong on the wings, and using the triangles from the center mids to kind of bounce out and facilitate, and like it just looks amazing. And the people that are smarter than me have been pretty keen to point out that this offseason in San Jose has kind of been addition by subtraction, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that their biggest players were Joseph Martinez, Christian Espinoza, and Chicho Arango. All three of those guys, incredibly talented individually. Espinoza, I think they would still love to have, but they did not offer a lot on the defensive side of the ball. And, that kind of offers some explanation as to why the San Jose defense was just so vulnerable. And it's because, anytime San Jose's opponent would win the ball, they had a free trip, to within 30 yards of the goal. And then after that, it's scramble defense. But now, like, this setup, San Jose has got 11 guys that are going to defend when they lose the ball. And I think that's been a massive, massive change for them, and been part of this as well. So it's a really good turnaround for them. I'm not sweating if I'm San Diego. This is an off game. Manadua, young center back, with the red card here, kind of seemed like a learning lesson for him, but nothing that,
A lot of
you
red
fear.
cards for them this year.
So many.
That's got to be weird. I mean,
Yeah,
it, I think the last three games, I don't think you're panicking, but I think you're going, okay, we got to course correct this a little bit. I mean, they haven't won a game over the last three, so a lot of road games too. So I'm not going to get on them
yeah,
too hard for the form here, but it's definitely they're now out of CONCACAF, so I think they have more time to kind of recuperate and kind of get back at it, and they'll be fine. I'm not worried about
definitely.
San Diego at all. I
And
think
how
this is
about
just San Jose's moment here.
yeah, and how about Preston Judd's goal celebration? Did you see that?
Oh, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Did you hear the story behind it?
No, no, wait. There's a story behind it.
There's a story behind it. It's
Okay.
not as entertaining as you think, though. It's not like some beef or
Oh,
something.
okay.
But it was a tribute to his dog who just had a surgery, or like a pretty heavy surgery or something.
That's
So
amazing.
I
It's
know. So
amazing.
then I guess he like used that as he's starting an, I don't know if he's starting one or he's got a nonprofit that goes to people helping pay for their expensive pet
Love that.
surgeries. So he used that as an opportunity to
How,
elevate his platform
how can you
by
hate this
peeing on a
team?
corner flag. So
They love dogs. How can you hate this team?
yeah,
Credit,
that's right.
credit, credit to San Jose,
Yeah.
and San Jose fans. Sold out game. They haven't had a
Boom.
ton of those
Come on.
lately. I think that the community's getting around it a little bit. So love to see that.
That's good.
Last game to cover here, Tony. We have Vancouver at home against Portland, making the comeback late in this one. Portland felt like they had this game and they were going to steal one because, I mean, in reality, Vancouver had all the chances in this game.
Hmm.
And they get a Muller pen late. He converts that, and Berhalter has a beautiful finish off like a trailing. He's the one who builds it up, and then he comes on a
Yeah.
trailing. They cross it, and he rocket into the bottom left corner. Um, from a Vancouver perspective, great. They get the win. They're happy about it. They're continuing form. I mean, they're just going to be a force in the Western Conference. Them and LAFC are really the two teams I just have no concerns about, like zero at all. I'm just like they're going to be there. And Portland, man, I think we might see a coaching change in Portland at some point
It's
this
getting
season.
hot over there too.
It's going to happen. and it's unfortunate. And the defense is just really the big thing right now. I mean, they allow so many goals. It's looked rough. You even get a De goals Da Costa appearance in this one, and you
He's
still can't get a
back.
victory. Um, I don't know. Tough showing. Tough show. It sucks to lose a game that way. I mean, 2 goals after the 90th minute is brutal. So, credit to Vancouver. Just might be this one of these seasons for Portland.
Yeah, I think maybe the only thing you worry about with Vancouver, but just like very barely, like you don't lose any sleep on this, but it does feel like we've seen maybe a moment or two now where, or maybe a better phrase, a game or two now where I don't think they're really playing complete 90s. They have these kind of
Mm-hmm.
moments where they do shut off. Portland's goals, both for all intents and purposes, were gross goals in the sense that Mosquera's goal was beautiful, but it was chaotic, right? It was a nice volley after like a second recycled chance off a corner or something like that. So, like goal of the week, but in terms of chance creation and how that came to be, same with DaCosta was kind of cleanup crew in his goal as well. It was a little bit crazy for and messy and just get the ball in the box and then hopefully it finds its way through. It was kind of how Portland got there. But to my point, I think that Vancouver has moments where um, they get kind of immune to that, and that's they need to have 90 minutes if they're going to want to go to the MLS Cup again. Then there's moments like that they have to cut out from sleepwalking for 10, 15 minutes a game. So I think that's really only minor concern for them. But Portland's got way bigger concerns. It just kind of seems like this is a team that just needs magic moments from players that don't really necessarily have that kind of caliber of talent to grab a
Mm-hmm.
game. And then on top of that, it does not feel like they're really playing team ball, I guess. But I will offer too. I don't know if you saw this, but do you know who the all-time leader in yellow cards in MLS is now because of this game?
Oh, is it what's this Canadian center back? What's his name?
No,
Uh, who is it?
all
Is it Chara?
MLS. It's
Chara?
Chara. It's
Yeah.
Chara.
Okay.
His yellow card in this game put him into the record books of most MLS
Shout
yellow
out.
cards
That's
of
a
all
great. I would
time.
love to have that. By the
Yeah,
way, that'd
that's
be.
yeah. And I believe it was his 40th birthday too. So he
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
on his birthday he had to get a yellow. And then his team does that and doesn't get the result. Um, that would have been the perfect
Wow.
day for him. But
Yeah.
yeah, Portland's got issues. Um, we all know that. I don't know if the coach is the top of those issues, but it doesn't help. It doesn't seem like at this point either. So I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be a rough go at it. Okay. Well, let's get into the MLS power rankings for Week 6, Tony. Everyone's favorite segment that we do.
Yes, yes.
Uh, my power rankings that you can't question, except if you're Tony, and try and
Don't worry, everyone.
understand
I
it.
got it.
Uh, but we'll see. We'll see. I think as the season goes on, it gets a little easier as I'm doing this because I'm like, I think it's just harder to dispute because teams start falling in line a little bit of like where they actually are. It's a little bit harder early on, so we'll see. Uh, but is there any teams, Tony? Before I get started here, that you were like you're interested to see where they are? Like, is there a team
Mm.
specifically?
Um, I am gonna put. I'll throw out Dallas. I want to see where you put Dallas this week.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm gonna. You know what? You know what I'll do for you, Tony? I'm just kidding.
Oh
I'm
man.
not putting Dallas at 10th. I am
Oh,
going to put Dallas on there, but to start, I'm doing NYCFC at 10.
okay. Okay.
This comes from a spot of I'm not super happy with how it's looked the past couple weeks. Of course, the Miami game was a bit weird. You have the controversy of did he touch it outside the box,
Yeah.
but then you followed up with a performance like that against St. Louis, and now they're sitting in. Let me see where they are. They're in 7th, but they're
Yeah.
tied with like 6 teams basically, in that 11-point spot in the Supporter Shield standings. I think this more just has to do with the recent form. I think I expect them to be right around this area all year. But I don't know. I feel like it's a fair spot for NYCFC at this point.
Yeah, I think that really their points from earlier this season are what's propping them up in this top 10. After, like you said, the two most recent games have just not really gone their way and been kind of disappointing. So, um, we'll see who else you got in here. I think it could be kind of easy to argue them out of the top 10 and put them in an honorable mention spot, but I'll let you keep going. We'll see what we're cooking up here.
Well, Tony, we're gonna go with the mentioned FC
Yep.
Dallas at 9.
Yep.
I I don't think you could put them higher at this point. I still want to see it more, but they deserve to be in the top 10. I mean, the offense at times can look so clinical, and the defense has shown up at different points early on the season too, which has been a little bit shocking. They've only allowed 9 goals this season, which I mean, for a lot of teams, it would be a little bit higher than where they've been, but for Dallas and what we've seen from the past couple of years, that is an accomplishment. And we know their offense can outscore that rate. So if they can keep that up, I mean, they're going to be a team that's going to be competing in that Western Conference.
Oh, yep. I think no complaints here until I see who you got in eighth, and then we'll ride
Okay.
with it.
Well,
Yep.
in eighth, we have a team dropping, and that's Inter Miami. Tony, I
Whoa.
I got to do it. Eventually, they're playing to what they are, and they're
Yeah.
not playing Concacaf anymore, and they have not looked good the past couple weeks. It is for me like, and they got a little bit lucky with NYCFC, and without that game, I don't know where they'd even be right now. In if they would have gotten a red card in that scenario, where it felt like a lot of people thought they should have. So it's a tough it's a tough go at it. But I do think they'll continue to rise. Like eventually, just talent wins, and this team has so much talent. They're getting nothing from Bertarame. It's mind
Yeah.
blowing to me from the expectations that even Allende, to a degree, like those two guys were supposed to be like the guys up top, and they really haven't given you much. And I kind of feel bad for Messi a little bit because he's having to do everything still. And I think that's what they're trying to avoid this year is Messi having to do everything. So I think it's fair right now, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to still have him in their top 5 just because out of respect, but at a certain point, you are what you are. And right now, they're playing in like an eighth type team in the power rankings to me.
Yeah, and I mean Bertarame been benched. He's been coming off the bench right now. Like it's your DP striker, and for Miami to achieve Miami things, they need three DPs doing three DP things, and currently they have two. So that definitely handicaps them. Eighth seems really harsh, but at the same time, like it is kind of the power rankings are what have you done for me lately, and
Yep.
it hasn't been a whole lot. So that being said, they have not lost in their last 5 games, but
Yeah, I mean, but
they're yeah.
I
So
expect them to win every game. That's with expectations comes critique, and
yeah, yeah, of
that's
course.
the type of team that they are. You're expecting them to win everything. So, and they've already failed at that in 2026. So we'll see. Moving on here, Tony. I have the Seattle Sounders at number 7.
Hmm.
Um, I think, I mean, they're sitting in the 6th spot, tied with the 6 through 4 for the Supporter Shield standings. I respect that. I still think they have another level to hit offensively to showcase for me. I think they're winning these close games right now, which is great. That's awesome. Of course, we're playing in CONCACAF, and that affects who they're rolling out on a week to week basis. This is MLS rankings. So I'm going to put them at 7. I just think I still want to see another level for them, and that may not come until after CONCACAF's over. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But you've got to be impressed with how they're balancing CONCACAF and MLS right now, and they're getting results, especially against some of these teams in the Western Conference. You are surprised by they're beating and they're winning games against these teams. So credit Seattle. I think you could argue them to be a little bit higher, but I feel good about the number 7 spot.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, we know that Seattle's season last year and probably this year are not going to be a straight line. Um, they rotated, they got points on the road. That was a huge win for them in terms of just kind of grinding out the machine of the MLS regular season. and not so much, about necessarily like playing their best 11 or finding their identity or anything like that. That's, not what we're looking at with this Seattle team. But because of all the competitions and rotations, you don't see that dominance. Kind of like you said, they just rip off those close games, but they rip them off. And so I think because of that, like, these higher tiered teams that you're about to put down, well, we saw it this week. Like, some of these teams can go off on absolute tirades on teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Seattle right now. Like, if they were to play Orlando instead of LAFC this like week, that would have been 2 or 3-0. That would not have been 6.
Yeah.
And
It
I think that's the reservation kind of makes me think that they kind of belong in that kind of range of the top 10.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, they've played 6 games, Tony. They have 6 goals and they are 4-1-1. That
Yeah.
is like that is crazy. For you to come out of 6 games, have 13 points with 6 goals is pretty impressive. And not
Yes.
even from impressive from a like offensive standpoint. It's disappointing from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah.
It's impressive of your
Defensively.
defense to keep you in these games. So,
Yep.
credit to them. They're still grinding out victories. We'll see how CONCACAF continues to affect this team. Tony, at the number 6 spot, I have San Diego. I can't quite knock them down. Of course, they haven't won in 3 now. They're coming off a big loss against San Jose. I just think they're going to be fine, and I think they're playing a ton of road games right now against some good Western Conference teams, and I don't want to knock them too hard for that. So their offense will be fine. They're going to continue to score goals. I think they got an early red card against San Jose and ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw at this point. So I have San Diego at 6. I think they will at some point continue to rise on this list.
I mean, I'm cool with where you put them. I'm going to counter that and say that I'm not sure San Diego is going to get back on top of the power rankings like where we're used to seeing them.
Oh,
I think that this could kind of be their new norm and maybe float around this.
and that's a
Uh,
good norm, by the way.
yeah, 10-5. Yeah, exactly. There's so many teams that would just die to have that as their new norm.
Yeah.
Um, but in that 5 to 10 range, just based on, I think one of the reasons we're feeling them struggle a little bit right now is obviously they only have one DP that's playing, and they're getting a lot out of him. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that uh, that's a lot to run out of one man.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that's figured out, which it seems like in some ways it was, like Dreyer was really quiet in their game against San Jose. That's the kind of thing that I'm just worried that maybe they're a little not predictable, but just kind of getting figured out a little bit, kind of getting worn down in terms of how many times they're pulling up from academy or U22 players that probably are good in a vacuum and plugged in on proper MLS teams like great players, but just right now I worry that where we've seen this roster go, it doesn't seem like it'd be super easy for them to just shoot right back into these all
Mm-hmm.
powerful, dominant top 5 teams.
Yeah, totally. I get it. I mean, like I said, I think if they stay in this range where they are right now, of course, they're going to be one of the top teams in MLS. So I don't think they'll complain about that. And I think the offense will bounce back here pretty soon. So San Diego at number 6. At number 5, Tony, I have RSL, a team, we've talked about it, one of the darlings, the attacks
Best team in
have
the
looked
league.
great for this team. This is Tony's. I've got the San Jose train. This is Tony's train that he's been driving. RSL, RSL. So credit to them. I mean, it's the offensive attack, and now you're adding Diego Luna back into it and get the immediate goal from him. So credit to RSL. It's been fun to watch, and they've quickly, for me, become one of those must-watch MLS teams in terms of the how it looks on the field. It's a fun brand of football to watch on the field.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of exciting young new players, and then it's also Diego Luna. They haven't even gotten Yedlin back from injury. Just wait until you see how this team unleashes with Yedlin. But I mean they just played harder than everybody else, and like
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of their numbers aren't super sexy. Like 12 goals for this season, 8 goals against, and yet with that they're 4-1-1. And I think their only loss this year was Seattle. if I'm not mistaken. And then their draw was San Diego. So I mean, it's two teams that are on this list. Like that's a really good resume when you're dropping points to other top teams, and that still getting all your wins and stuff against teams you're supposed to beat. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about this RSL team, and not uncharted territory, but definitely new as of recently to be kind of in these top dogs.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay, number 4, I have Nashville, Tony. They're coming off their first loss of the season. We talked about it on the podcast. The attack was pretty just non-existent, and they didn't rotate at all. And it was a full strength Nashville. They lose 1-0 to Chicago. They're still one of those top teams. I mean, it's the first loss of the season. It will be interesting to see how they balance CONCACAF still. Of course, they're playing Club America still, and that's going to affect how they go about the MLS week to week if they continue on. But this attack's still really good. You're not going to fault them for 1 week, and I think dropping them to 4 is a fair drop with how that last week went.
Yeah, I think that last week, I'm sure that Nashville's hoping this as well, is like the exception. That it's probably an outlier. Hopefully, not the trend of anything. Again, about to enter the CONCACAF buzzsaw, so we may see a little bit of a slide there. But I think for the most part, yeah, you got to trust the results. I mean, they're fourth in the Supporters Shield standings right now, so it's fair to keep them up here. And they've scored 13, allowed 3. Like they've just been really dominant outside of this performance. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's totally fair to still keep them this high.
Okay, my team, my train, Tony. I'm going San Jose at 3. I'm not doing it quite yet. I'm not jumping them all the way up, but this team continues to just prove itself, and you've got to give them credit. And I mean, 10 goals to 1 allowed on the season. At this point, it's one of the more shocking things you've seen in San Jose's stat line is the 1 goal allowed. Still getting production offensively, and they're beating good teams. And that's the reality is they've beaten good teams now. On top of the early victories against teams that we were like, okay, is this for real? Now you have a real test like San Diego, and you pass with flying colors. You got to be impressed, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. Bruce Arena's got this team going. You talked about on the podcast, they've got really a full 11 that plays defense now, and that wasn't the case last year. It feels like, yeah, Christian Espinoza was great. Chicho Arango was great. Those weren't necessarily guys that Bruce brought in, and he's kind of allowed guys to go. Maybe Christian Espinoza wasn't on purpose, but he's come and gone, and the team's gotten better. And I think it's one of the only things why you're not hearing the Christian Espinoza transfer story more is because San Jose's playing that good. They
Yeah.
don't have to talk about it. So credit to them. It's fun, and I'm hoping we get more of San Jose in 2026 competing and see them in the playoffs this year.
I wish we could get a live reaction of Christian Espinoza watching the Talkin pitch side
I know.
power rankings in San Jose going over Nashville after he just left. But no, I mean, I think all of that's true. They've been an absolute wagon. If they came in with different expectations on them this season, they could be even higher. But they just started a little bit further behind the line of scrimmage, so this is why they're at 3. But they've been really good this season. And I mean, surprising everyone. We haven't even seen the best or the most of Timo Werner yet. So it still feels like there's more to come with the San Jose team too.
Totally. And the top 2, I'm not letting them get past just yet because they've been that excellent. I'm going to go with Vancouver at 2. They pull off a late win in this one. That offense still just scores a ton of goals, and I feel best about them besides the top team up here so far this year. I mean, it's hard to come onto the scene like they did last year and continue excellence because now you're not the hunter, you're the hunted, and they're responding well to it. I mean, they were playing in 2 competitions and they're sitting second in the Supporter Shield standings. Despite that, and despite some guys now having to fill new roles, you've seen some guys go onto other teams now, and they're still producing. And Berhalter is the centerpiece of that. I think they're gonna go as he goes this season, and you saw that late in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Vancouver, kind of like I've mentioned in the podcast, they have moments in games where they turn off. And I think that's what's kind of keeping them the difference between second and first in these power rankings. Clearly, I mean, also the margins in those victories. But I think that they're still getting the points done. This is a Vancouver team too that since they've kind of rose pretty quickly last year, we're familiar with them rotating and pulling up kids from academies and just being plagued with injuries and still getting results. And I think this is the case here too. That they just find ways to get it done, and they found a way to get it done here. Portland let them in, but they stuck their foot in and went down to the dramatic fine wire. But Berhalter saved the day, and next time it'll be Mueller, and then the time after that it's going to be Blackman, and the time after that, like they someone always steps up. Like they always have
Mm-hmm.
somebody, and that's what's made them just really really good. Not just last season, but this season too.
Totally. In that top team, it's not changing. It's LAFC. We had been critical of their attack as it's kind of not looked super dynamic as of recently, and they responded in a huge way with 6 goals against Orlando. To be sitting at the top of the league at this point with how good that defense has looked, 14 goals, zero allowed. Tony, they have not allowed a goal this season, which is astounding. Um, and you're doing this without Heung-min Son being on the score sheet as a goal scorer yet this season. And I think that's where you look at this and you're going, okay, they're playing that well, and they still have another level to hit because of that alone and what he can do as a goal scorer at some point, and you know he's going to do it this season. So LAFC, I think you're going to see them at this top spot for quite a bit this season.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about like we wanted to see something different out of the LAFC. Like they were really struggling with against the low block, relying on the magic moment from Mustachio, or whoever's playing CDM just turns out to hit a banger. And now, like we just see an absolute dismantling. Yes, it's Orlando. Yes, they're like a wooden spoon favorite at this point. But the nature in which this happened is like that they were able to just absolutely dissect a defense that it's like there's transition moments, but they also sat back some too, and
Mm-hmm.
that was what we wanted to see out of LAFC, and getting Son even active with 4 assists. I mean, yes, he wasn't scoring goals, but I'm okay if the guy who I want to score goals is getting 4 assists instead. Like
Yeah,
that's fine with me. So they're making it happen. The offense is being super active, and just like you pointed out, like in the shadows of all of this is that every single match they've held a clean sheet, and to have their defense operating at that level, to have Lloris operating at that level, they're just hitting it all cylinders right now, and that's why they're definitely the deserved number one team.
totally. Well, that's going to do it for our power rankings, Tony. I appreciate you giving your input. I think this was pretty solid. I don't think I'm going to get a ton of flack for this one. I think people might
No,
appreciate this list.
yeah, I think you could. I'm just kind of looking at who's on the fringe of the Shield rankings. I mean, Charlotte's kind of in 10th right now because they've had a
Chicago.
decent run of form. Chicago's right there, but neither of those teams have you totally jumping and saying, "Oh yeah, they're absolute dominant right now."
Mm-hmm.
And this has been a Western Conference year so far. Something in the water over there has been just absolutely destroying the
It's
East.
just
So
it's just warm there earlier. Some of those
yeah, that's
places.
it.
So yeah,
I'm just worried about. I wouldn't want to put Charlotte or Chicago in that because they're just now I got that West
yeah,
Coast bias. So
yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for our episode here, Tony. I appreciate you sitting along and going through these games. To you, the listener, thanks for listening. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, get in the comment sections. Let us know how we did with the power rankings. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow as well. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And I think I'm solo on the next episode. So Tony's
yes,
got something he's got
yes,
to go to. So you
peacing
get to
out
sit along with me and listen to my predictions
and your
for
soothing
week
voice.
7. Yes, it's
Mm,
you can it's give me your sound machine at night. Just put
there
me
you go.
on and and go to sleep on Friday night. But with that being said, we will see you guys on Friday with the MLS Week 7 preview.
See you.